So, you were getting to know a woman, thinking everything was going well until you started catching feelings for her. Maybe she was already your fling or even your girlfriend. Then, out of nowhere, she decides she doesn't want you anymore, and to make matters worse, she leaves you for another guy. Yeah, buddy, the pain and frustration are real, but hold on because I'm going to show you how to handle this situation. And of course, I'll give you the solution at the end. But first, pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you because I recently went through something similar, and understanding this will help you turn the game in your favor. So, let's pay attention, because the last thing you want is to walk away from this story as the fool who didn't learn anything. Let's go. Number 1, find balance in rejection. Let's get straight to the point, friend. You need to understand a universal truth. No one, absolutely no one, is unanimously liked. Not you, not me, not the guy who looks like he stepped straight out of a perfume commercial. We live in a world where even the coolest, most attractive, most perfect people have gotten a solid no in their face at some point. And you know what sets those who stand out apart from those who keep crying in the corner? How they deal with rejection. Now let's assume you find yourself in one of those situations where she dumped you. What's your first reaction? You want to crawl into a hole, call her every 5 minutes, or worse, degrade yourself by begging for a scrap of attention. Let me tell you, this is the instruction manual for being the biggest idiot in history. Because with every desperate message you send, what you're really doing is rubbing it in her face that you're the typical bland guy she was waiting to dump. And as a consequence, you're inflating her ego like she's the last Coke in the desert. But hold on, there's a dignified way out. Want to know how? By acting like a man who knows his worth. When you understand that rejection is part of the game and don't go running after her as if you're in a desperate race for the neediest of the year trophy, you start to stand out. You demonstrate that you have solid self-esteem, that you don't need anyone's approval to feel good about yourself. And that's when things start to turn in your favor. She may have dumped you, but when she sees that you don't care, that you've moved on as if nothing happened, something in her head begins to change. Doubt sets in. Did I make the right choice? Why isn't he desperate for me? Could he be more interesting than I thought? And my friend, this is the moment when the power shifts to your hands. When you master the art of handling rejection, not only do you keep your dignity intact, but you also become a challenge, something that most people simply can't resist. And who knows, in the end, she might realize that the mistake was hers, not yours. But look, even if that doesn't happen, you'll be so good with yourself that you won't even care anymore. After all, who wants someone who didn't know how to appreciate what you have to offer? Number 2, the Instagram X saga, how the game changed. Let me tell you a true story. The kind that could be the plot of a soap opera, but actually happened to me. It's the kind of thing you see out there and think, this will never happen to me. But then, out of nowhere, life throws you right into that situation. It all started on Instagram, that den of appearances and showmanship, where everyone tries to show off a perfect life but hides the behind-the-scenes chaos and insecurity. I was there, scrolling through my feed with no particular expectations, when out of nowhere, a girl I'd known from a distance for a good 10 years popped up. She was always the kind who grabbed attention, you know? Beautiful, popular, the type of girl who, when we were teenagers, I thought I had no chance with. The reality is, back then, I was just another kid in the crowd, lacking confidence, lacking presence. She, on the other hand, was practically untouchable. But time passed and a lot changed. I wasn't the same guy I used to be. I worked on myself, both inside and out. I changed my mindset, my physique, the way I carried myself. In short, I went from being the bland guy to becoming someone who has something to offer. When I saw her on Instagram, I noticed she was still very beautiful. But something inside me told me that this time the game could be different. I decided to follow her. You know how this game works, right? You follow, she follows back, and then things start to unfold. And they did. She followed me back, and soon we were exchanging likes, comments, until we moved to WhatsApp. The conversations heated up quickly, and everything indicated that we were heading towards something interesting. The chat flowed, the chemistry was in the air, and I was already imagining what the date that seemed to be getting closer would be like. But as life loves to play tricks, suddenly things started to change. You know that strange feeling when you realize that someone who was super excited suddenly starts to cool off? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. She stopped reacting to my stories, her replies started to take longer, and I already knew what that meant. Something was wrong. And then, the final blow came. One fine day, as I was scrolling through my feed, there she was, all smiles, wrapped in the arms of another guy. A guy who, after some amateur detective work, I discovered was her ex-boyfriend. Man, the disappointment hit hard. That feeling that all the effort, all the conversations, and the time I invested were just thrown in the trash. But you know what? I could have thrown myself into a pit of despair, started questioning where I went wrong, or worse, humiliated myself chasing after her, trying to understand what happened. But no. Instead, I made the decision that every self-respecting man should make. I moved on. I kept focusing on myself, on my goals, on my growth. I turned my attention back to my business, my body, my mind, because in the end, the only person I need to be good with is myself. And then came the cherry on top. It didn't take long, and guess what? She started liking my stories again, giving signs of life, as if she was remembering what could have been. The moral of the story here, my friend, is that when you value yourself, when you focus on being the best version of yourself, people around you start to notice, and often, the one who discarded you ends up realizing they made the biggest mistake of their life. The secret isn't to try to prove anything to anyone. It's to prove to yourself that you're the guy who's worth it. And when you do that, the world around you starts to align in ways you never imagined possible. Number 3, stop chasing. You're not a desperate puppy. Now let's get real. If there's one thing you should never, under any circumstances, do when this situation happens, it's chase after her. Seriously, this is the basic manual for self-sabotage. Imagine the scene. She dumped you and there you are like a lost puppy, running after her, begging for attention. Just imagining that scene makes you want to slap yourself in the face, doesn't it? But hold on, no need to self-flagellate. I just want you to understand how ridiculous that is. When you chase after someone who rejected you, what you're really doing is taking all the value you have and throwing it in the trash. Because by acting that way, you're basically saying, hey, my value depends entirely on you. Please give me a bit of your approval so I can feel like someone in life. And while you're doing that, do you know what's happening with her? Her ego inflates to astronomical levels, and the image she has of you only gets worse. In other words, you're giving her all the power that should be yours. And what's the result of that? She sees you as inferior. She feels superior. And you, as a result, end up putting yourself on a pedestal of self-pity, lamenting what you can't have, and feeling more miserable by the minute. And guess what that does? It drives her even further away. It's like a natural repellent. The more you chase, the more she runs, because no one wants someone who seems desperate. Now, let me give you some friendly advice. The kind you only hear after a few beers when the truth finally comes out. The only useful thing you can do in this situation is keep your dignity intact. That's right, don't lower yourself. Remember who you are and the value you have. If she rejected you, that's her problem, not yours. It doesn't diminish your value in any way. In fact, it's an opportunity to show her and yourself that you're someone who knows what you're worth. When you stop chasing, something magical happens. She starts to feel your absence. That security she had, knowing you were there, available at any moment, disappears. And then, insecurity knocks on her door. She starts to wonder, Why isn't he chasing after me? Did I lose someone who was really worth it? And that's when the game starts to turn. But don't think that the goal here is to make her come running back to you. The real goal is for you to understand your own value, for you to realize that you don't need anyone to feel complete. When you become that self-sufficient person who knows what they want and doesn't lower themselves for anyone, the people around you start to notice. And who knows, she might even come looking for you again. But you know what? By that point, you'll probably be so good with yourself that you'll realize you don't need her anymore. So friend, the lesson here is simple. Don't chase. Keep your dignity, value yourself, and let her realize what she lost. If she was smart enough to realize it, great. If not, life goes on, and you'll be much better off than before. Because in the end, the one who really matters is you. Number 4, there are plenty of fish in the sea, and the fishing never ends. Let's face reality with a good dose of irony and a pinch of sarcasm, because that's what you need to hear right now. When a woman rejects you, do you know what that really means? Nothing. Exactly, nothing. It's not a life sentence. It's not the end of the world, and it's definitely not proof that you failed. On the contrary, it's just proof that the universe is giving you a chance to find something better. Let's be honest here. Women, just like all of us, make mistakes in their choices, and many times, those choices are driven by factors that have absolutely nothing to do with who you really are. She might be lonely, emotionally confused, or maybe she's the type who puts material interests above everything else. And then you ask me, so what? And I'll tell you, so you don't need to sit around waiting for her regret to fall from the sky. You know that old saying that there are plenty of fish in the sea? Well, that's truer than ever. There are millions, and I mean millions of women out there. And believe me, many of them are looking for exactly a guy like you, a man who knows what he wants, who is confident, and who doesn't get shaken by rejection. So why on earth would you stand still, waiting for someone who clearly didn't see your value? That would be like watching a train leave and just standing there at the station, waiting for it to come back. My friend, the train has already left. Catch the next one. And look, don't give me that she was the one nonsense. That's a line from a cheap romance movie. In real life, there is no one. There are several, each with their qualities and flaws. As a successful man who knows what he wants out of life, you need to adopt an abundance mindset. And this doesn't just apply to women, but to everything in life. There's always more money to be made, more goals to achieve, more adventures to live. And of course, there are always more women to meet. When you adopt this mindset, something changes within you. Suddenly, you realize that you don't need to rely on anyone's regret to be happy. You understand that the world is full of possibilities, and that the only thing that can really stop you from achieving what you want is yourself. And man, when you understand that, you become unstoppable. A woman's rejection? Puff. That becomes a footnote in your story, not the final chapter. So instead of wasting time crying over what didn't work out, go out there and make things happen. Meet other women, live new experiences, and don't limit yourself to waiting for someone who might not even be worth it. Because in the end, the real choice is yours. You can stay stuck in the past, or you can move forward and see what the future has to offer. And I guarantee you, the future always has something better in store for those who are willing to move forward and make things happen. So, my friend, the lesson here is clear. Never wait for her. Keep moving forward because the world is vast and full of opportunities. And who knows, at your next stop, you might meet someone who truly knows how to value you. And if not, who cares? There will always be more women, more experiences, and more paths to tread. Life is too big to be tied to a single possibility. Number 5, the cheated neighbor who showed how it's done. Let me tell you a story that will shut down any idea that no one better will come along. And look, If you think you're in a bad situation, pay attention to what happened to my neighbor, because his story is a slap in the face to anyone who thinks the world ended because of a betrayal. This guy, my neighbor, was married to a woman that everyone in the neighborhood knew. And why? Because she was, without exaggeration, a showstopper. The typical woman who, when she walked by, guys would crane their necks to look. They seemed like the perfect couple, you know? She was beautiful, he was successful, everything was picture perfect. But, as life is full of surprises, and not always good ones, the shock came. The woman was cheating on the guy. Yes, the beauty was involved with another man, and the whole neighborhood knew about it before he could even process the situation. Now, think with me. The first reaction from everyone was the typical thought, "Poor guy, he'll never find someone like her. He's screwed." But as I said before, what sets winners apart from losers is how they react in these moments of crisis. And do you know what he did? No crying, no drama, no scenes. He kept his dignity. While the gossip was running wild around the corners, he moved on with his head held high, focusing on what really mattered, himself. He kept running his business, living his life, without letting it bring him down. And let me tell you, time was this guy's greatest ally. A few months went by, and guess who showed up with a new partner? Yup, the cheated neighbor himself. And do you know what left everyone speechless? His new woman was, to say the least, breathtaking. And I'm not just talking about looks. She was incredible in every aspect, smart, interesting, and the best part, she valued him the way he deserved. That's when it dawned on everyone. What seemed like a crushing defeat ended up being the greatest victory. He not only bounced back, but did it with style, showing that no matter what happens, there's always a new chance, a new opportunity waiting for you. And the most interesting part? The ex, who was once seen as irreplaceable, became just another turned page in his life. While she was left with a tarnished reputation, he was out there living his best life alongside someone who truly deserved him. The moral of this story? Life goes on, my friend. And not only does it go on, it gets better as long as you stay focused on what really matters. You. Because in the end, there are always other women, other opportunities, and other people who will value you as you deserve. If my neighbor, who seemed to be at rock bottom, could bounce back from a betrayal and find someone even better, what makes you think you can't do the same? So, the next time you think you've lost the best thing in your life, remember my neighbor. He's living proof that with the right attitude, the world offers you even better things. It's just a matter of time and keeping your head on straight for you to realize that the future always holds something incredible for those who don't give up and keep moving forward. Number 6, the power of indifference. Now let's talk about a powerful yet underestimated strategy. Indifference. That's right, the ability not to give a damn when someone tries to bring you down. Many guys make the mistake of overreacting when they're rejected or replaced by someone else. They cry, beg, or even try to get revenge, as if that's somehow going to fix the situation. Spoiler alert, it won't. All that does is put you in a position of weakness and show that you're still stuck in the situation. Want a surefire tip? Show indifference. Indifference is one of the most powerful weapons you can have in your emotional arsenal. When you show that what she did doesn't affect you, that you're fine, that your life goes on as if nothing happened, you're sending a clear and direct message. I'm bigger than this, and you don't have the power to bring me down. And let me tell you, this is something most people don't expect. They're used to dramatic reactions with tears and soap opera scenes. But when you respond calmly, with tranquility, and move on as if she's just another detail in your life, it leaves everyone perplexed. And do you know what's more interesting? Indifference has a peculiar way of turning the tables. When someone realizes they no longer have control over you, that their actions don't generate the expected reaction, they start to question themselves. Why isn't he shaken? Did he find something better? Did I make a mistake? These questions start haunting the mind of the person who rejected you, and often they end up coming back, now in a position of doubt and insecurity. But here's the key. Indifference isn't a strategy to manipulate or win someone back. It's a reflection of a self-sufficient mindset, knowing that you are complete and happy on your own. When you truly don't care about the opinion or actions of someone who rejected you, that's when you really win. You gain peace, you gain freedom, and above all, you gain control over your own life. So next time someone tries to bring you down, respond with the best weapon you have: indifference. Move on with your head held high, because in the end, the one who should be worried isn't you, it's her. Number 7, become the best version of yourself, the final blow. Now pay attention, because this is the final blow, the one that will determine whether you come out of this story as a winner or just another loser. Stop wasting time worrying about who rejected you, cheated on you, or didn't value you. That's a waste of energy. What you need to do now is the opposite. It's time to focus on yourself, but not just in any way. In such an intense and determined way that, in a little while, you won't even recognize the guy you used to be. That's right. Turn all the pain, anger, frustration into fuel to become the most incredible version of yourself. Invest in yourself, in your mind, in your body, in your career, in your dreams. Stop looking back and start building a future that will make anyone who ever doubted you deeply regret it. Because in the end, the best revenge is success. It's not lowering yourself. It's not chasing after someone, and it's certainly not trying to prove something to someone who doesn't deserve it. The transformation starts within you. Every minute you spend lamenting is a wasted minute that could be used to elevate yourself. So, lift your head, look forward, and commit to an unstoppable journey of growth. Reinvent yourself, evolve, do whatever it takes to become so unbelievably successful that anyone who ever rejected you, cheated on you, or underestimated you will bite their tongue and wonder how they let you slip away. And when that moment comes, because it will come, you'll realize that the opinion of those people no longer matters at all. Because by becoming the best version of yourself, you'll understand that the only judgment that matters is your own. The respect you've earned for yourself is the greatest trophy you can win. In the end, the choice is yours. You can be the victim of your story or the hero who rose from the ashes and built an empire. But know this: when you choose to be the hero, there's no force in the world that can stop you. So go ahead, do what needs to be done, and show the world and yourself that you're so much more than anyone ever imagined. Now, after everything we've talked about, you have two options. Keep living as if nothing has changed, accepting being the supporting actor in your own story, or stand up and take on the role of the protagonist. Life doesn't wait for anyone, and the time you spend lamenting is time that could be used to reinvent yourself, to grow, and to build something that truly matters. You have within you the ability to turn any pain, any failure into strength. You just have to decide. The question you need to ask yourself now is, am I willing to do whatever it takes to become the best version of myself? Because, my friend, no one is going to do that for you. It's your responsibility. And when you decide that it's time to act, to stop lamenting, and finally take control of your life, you'll realize that everything you went through was just fuel for the success that's to come. If you're ready for this transformation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this message. Together we can build a community of people who don't accept anything less than greatness. I'm here to remind you of your worth, but the action has to come from you. See you in the next video. Until then, do what needs to be done and show the world what you're capable of.